Hello again, this is Mark Summers from Summers Technical Services. We're moving on. We're going to do our Dash 50 DIN rail assembly. And I think this will close out. Maybe not. We need to do a little RF cable routing video. So anyway, this is the next step here. So we're going to build the Dash 50 subassembly. These are all Phoenix contact parts, so it makes sense to put them all into their own subassembly, and then place that whole Dash 50 subassembly into the Dash 10 top level assembly. So let's get started. Alright, here's where we left off our chassis design. I went ahead and opened up my earlier assignment, my DIN rail assignment. Everyone did already, so just make a copy of that, save it into the RF chassis folder in the root, along with the Dash 10, the Dash 30. And give it the Phoenix contact part number, and we'll use that in the Dash 50. So we're going to say File New, and we'll start a new assembly inch. Could have used millimeter. It converts either way. And so first part, I think I'll just place my DIN rail. Alright, so you're going to want to float this and mate the planes like we do. So let's do this for the umpteenth time. So we'll go front to front after we float it. And what's going on here? Delay, delay, delay. There we go. And let's keep going. Top to top. Hopefully this is all automatic pilot stuff. This has to be done in every assembly. First part, float it, and then mate the planes. Alright, so we've got a list of components. Let's see if I can find the ICD. The ICD is incomplete. They should show up over here, but we already know from the parts list, based on our indented list we talked about in class, all of this stuff here is all DIN rail stuff that needs a report, including the DIN rail itself. Those are all the Phoenix contact cage codes. So all those need to go together. So the end clamp kind of closes this thing off on each end, and then everything else goes in between. And so let's put one of those end clamps in first. 08, 008. And so I got a new assembly. We'll place a new component. Go browse. 08, 008, maybe that's it. Alright, and so obviously my DIN rail is too long. You'll need to cut it shorter. And so these models are not 100% accurate, but you kind of get the idea. This thing here is going to clamp down with a screw coming down from the top. And so obviously this face here needs to be mated to this face here. So we'll do that one first. And we'll approve that. And then we'll look at this thing from the front with my spacebar view cube. I'm patient enough. Can't wait to get a new version of SolidWorks going. Alright, and so now this thing needs to be constrained side to side. Well, where does it go? I mean, it doesn't really have a face to mate to, but it needs to be centered. And so let's just center this thing. And let's look at these planes. There's a front plane, there's a top plane. It's got a plane in the middle, it's already in the right plane. Oh, no, that's the DIN rail. Here we go. So here are the planes on the end piece. So where's the top plane? Where's the right plane? Well, they're way out here in space somewhere. This is ridiculous. So whoever made this CAD model doesn't understand how to make good CAD models. And so I just downloaded this from Phoenix Contact, and these planes are in lousy locations. So let's go make a plane we can actually use. And so just open up the part, open up the correct part, and let's put a plane in the middle. So that's easy to do with this feature reference geometry. Pull that down and go plane, and I'm going to select this face, and it's guessing I want to do a 10 millimeter offset, but I don't want to do a 10 millimeter offset. So now I want to define a second reference, and it's guessing, oh, he wants one halfway between the two. So there we go. So I got a new plane. It wasn't part of the plane that came from the model I downloaded, but that's exactly what I want. And so I'm going to save and close this. And now I've got a plane I can work with. So now I'm going to go dig inside this guy and find that plane I just put in. And then the DIN rail tells that part where to go. And the DIN rail, you know you made correctly to put that plane in the middle of the part where it belongs. And now we can make this thing side to side. Come on. No. There we go. Make those together and approve that, and then take a look from the front. And so even though we didn't really have a feature to mate to, it's centered. That's good enough. All right, so we got one of them on there. We'll stack everything else up, and then we'll close it out with another end cap. All right, so we got more stuff here. Let's insert the power supply. And we don't know what order we're going to do this, so make your best design decision. Power supply, 2902. 2902, where is it? Why am I not seeing it? 2902, that's not it. Where's the parts list? Parts list, power supply, 2902-991. 2902. Why am I not seeing it? Is that it? Oh, that is it. That part number doesn't look right. I don't know all the Uno stuff. That shouldn't be in there. All right, hopefully you got the right one in your folder. All right, so this thing has got another kind of, it's got a little bit of feature here. This is some kind of spring-loaded snap-in thing. And who knows, maybe that looks like it's at an angle there. And so anyway, we'll make it work. So let's grab that face and grab the top face of the DIN rail, make those together. Okay. And now let's take a look at this thing from the front and see what we're going to do. As soon as it comes back to life. Alright, let's look at this thing. Maybe from the back side. Oh, that didn't look good. What did I do wrong? Mates. Oh no, that's okay. I just need to rotate it around. Alright, so this thing is going to sit flat up against this guy here, so I'll control click those two, mate those together. Now we're getting somewhere. Alright, so now it just needs to know side to side where to go. Alright, now we can look at this thing from the back side. And decide what to do. That's not even the right face. We need to mate it to this face down here. That was a bad idea. Look at that. It's not where it needs to be. So let's go fix this thing. That's that face, that's that face. Right click, edit feature. We're going to get rid of that face on the power supply. And we're going to instead select that guy right there. I'll eventually get this right. That looks reasonable there. Alright, so it needs to go somewhere in here. We could put another plane on there, but those look like two parallel surfaces. So maybe we'll just mate those together. So where is that surface? It's right there. Select that surface. Control click that surface. Mate those together. And maybe that's good enough. Look at a back view again. That seems reasonable. Oh, look, it's kind of close there. Alright, so we could have put a plane in the middle like we did on the other one. But that'll work just as well. Alright, so some of these components have multiple instances. Like this terminal block here. And this relay socket. Let's put this, I don't know, let's put this relay terminal block. What is this? 2715? Let's put him in there. So insert components, 2715. Is that it right there? Alright, that's pretty wacky looking. Alright, so let's we'll put him back to back. These things just stack up back to back. So we'll mate those two together. And then we'll approve that. And then it looks like maybe that surface right there, it looks like the bottom surface that mates to here. And so the first two are pretty straightforward. But let's take a look at a side-to-side mate. And so let's look at this thing from the back side. Whoops, let's look at it from the front side. There we go. So what are we going to do here? Well, this thing is designed to be flexible over here. So this thing, when you pull this thing out, I'll have to show you a picture of that, a real piece of hardware here one of these days. This thing is made out of plastic, and that thing will flex out, and so who knows where that surface will be. So we could put a plane in there, but it looks like that's a vertical surface, so let's just mate those together. And so I'll come over here and find that face right there, and then control click this face right there, mate those together. Okay. Now let's see what it looks like. So the models aren't horrible. They're pretty close. That looks reasonable. This is sticking out into the part, but we know this thing is going to flex. And it's going to sit approximately right here. So they're not going to manufacture anything based on this model. I just want to give them an image to figure out how big this thing is going to be and where it's going to fit. Alright, so now we got 3 of these, or 2 or 3, I don't know how many we have. We got multiple copies of these. We could put in multiple instances, but it's going to be much easier to do a linear pattern. That way if I need to add another one, I can just add one to the pattern. So let's select the component in the tree over here. And that's it right there. We're going to go linear component pattern. Before I do that, I want to measure and see how far it is, how thick this part is. So I can open them up. I'm going to go to evaluate, measure. All these are old files. Make sure to save these things so you get the new version. Evaluate, measure. From here to here is how much? Well, it's a metric part. I'm going to pull this down here. There we go. So that's not what I wanted. I want to go from there to there. 6.11 millimeters. All right, so let's do a pattern of 6.11 millimeters. So I'm going to select this guy, linear component pattern. The direction is going to be defined by that front plane, say. And I can type in 6.11 mm, even though this is an inch assembly. When I type in 6.1 mm, it converts it to the correct number of inches exactly. And so I don't know how many I have, but if I have 3 of them, I can do 3. There we go. So keep stacking these things up. When you get to the end, put another end cap on it, and you're going to want to obviously make your DIN rail a little bit shorter. You can measure the stack up of all the Phoenix contact parts, and then come up with a total distance, and you can center this thing side to side so it sits in the middle. You want to make sure you don't have this thing looking like this, because you won't be able to get to that slot to put your mounting hole in there. So make sure you get it close to the edge, but not right up to the edge. You're going to want to move it over so you get that slot you can see to put your screw in, and same thing on the other side. This thing ever comes back, I'll give up on that. All right, so I think that's it. There we go. So yeah, that looks more reasonable. You know, something like that would be fine. So once you get your dash 50 done, you're going to place that into your dash 10 as a subassembly. I want to put mine over here. I want to keep my power and control stuff over here. So my power entry module is going to be over here, and these RF connectors are going to be over here. So I'll keep those separate. Then you can throw in your, what do we got? We got the finger guards. Got a few more things to go, but I think you're getting pretty close. All right. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you in class. And until next time, this is Mark Summers from Summers Technical Services.